quickly look at the other types of pages. I'm going to select New Page again. And this time, let's go for the file cabinet. So maybe I will term this Library Documents. And so this would be handy if you have a website where you have a number of documents that need to be downloaded. Being in our Google Apps environment, I think it's much better just to link over to the docs. Again, the more documents you put at the website itself, you're eating up the memory of the site, and it can get filled quite quickly. But this is pretty straightforward. It's created the page here called Library Documents. You can click here to add a file, navigate, or a link. Links, of course, I think would be better because that's not taking up the memory. You can also move it to a folder, delete it, or subscribe to changes because it is an RSS feed. So let's add a link here, and you can add a file from the web. So if I have a file up at a wiki that is a downloadable file, I can put it here, and I can put the text to display and put a link description. So let's paste the URL for Module 4's handout and type Module 4. And we could put a description there, say add. And that's showing up. And if anybody wants to download that or view it, they can do that. And so there it's linking over to our PDF document. So this is not a type of web page that most people will use a lot, but there may be a need to do that for some of your purposes if you have documents that you need to distribute through the website. Let's just take a quick look at lists. So let's add a new page here, Library Lists, and select it as a template. Create. And this is a web page that I rarely use, but it may be one that you like quite a bit. So there's different types of templates here which are available. If you wanted to create a list of action items, there's a template for that. Issues, a unit status, or create your own. So you'd be likely to create your own and use a template. So in this, you would select a column name. For example, maybe uh, new books. Notice that you can select text, a drop-down menu, the date, the checkbox, or URL. So text as a default, and that's what we'll put there. And that you can edit it as you add things if you want it in ascending or descending order. So let's select save. And it's saving that, and so every time you have some new books that you would like to add to the list, you just select add item. You can add the item there, and you can always go back into the page and add change the template, add other items to it. As well, this behaves just like other web pages. So you can remove the commenting function or the add file function if you don't need them. So give this one a try and see how the lists work. Okay, so now we have a number of web pages over here that are showing up, and let's learn how to edit our navigation. Perhaps we see, for example, that we don't want this book club meeting showing up here. That's something we may want to remove, or we may not want the library news page to show at all because we have this handy dandy gadget here, which actually leads to the same place. So let's see how we can alter the navigation a little bit in the sidebar. I'm going to go to More and Edit Site Layout. And it's going to bring up the same navigation bar that we have seen before. This time we want to make sure that we see the sidebar active. Now keep in mind, you may have a website that doesn't have a sidebar. You may use the horizontal navigation, which we'll look at in a little bit. But as I put my mouse over here, it activates it so that I have several options. Before we get into the editing the navigation bar here, just want to show you that you can also edit the entire sidebar there. And if I hit this plus, it gives me other things I can put there. So if you wanted to add a text box there to maybe have an announcement or your contact information or something there, you can add that. You can also add recent site activity, a countdown if you have an event coming up. And there's a couple other things here, so you can take a look at that. But for now, we're going to be interested in editing the navigation bar. So I'm going to come here and select that black item there and edit the navigation bar, clicking into it, and it brings up this interface. Um, you have the option here to display the title of the navigation, the site map, and recent activity. I don't have anything that I want to change there. Um, so take a moment and look at that, and then we're going to look at how to edit the pages. As we click into the navigation here, notice that by default it automatically organizes your navigation. In pretty short order, you won't want it to do that anymore, so I'm going to deselect that. And it brings up your this interface, which allows you to customize your navigation to what you want. But in that case, then you will lose the layout that you have. So you can add links to other pages in your website or to URLs if you want to create a link to the school's main website or something else, you can do that. So let's select add page, and let's say, of course I want the home page there. So it is there. Let's see what other ones I want. I don't want library news because I've put the gadget in, but let's say I want library documents. And let's just add a couple more here. Let's do the online database one for sure. And let's add one more here. Library lists. So as it's laid out here, notice that you can, if you just change your mind and you don't want one of these, you can just highlight it and exit out and it will remove it. But let's say that I don't like this order where things have appeared. Let's say that I want the online databases, for example, to go to the top. I click on that and move it using the arrows to the location where I want it. Let's say I want library documents to be at the bottom. I click on it and move it down to the bottom of the list. So that is how you can add navigation. Let's say that you want one to not be on the primary part of the list, but you want it to be down a little bit. So let's do add a page here, and let's say that we want to add the library news, which we won't leave there. But let's say we wanted that to appear under library lists. So we can move it up there. And then what I do is I move this arrow to the right, and it becomes a subheading of library lists. So let's take a look at how all of this looks when I say OK and save it. I close that, and you'll see that it has reorganized itself to the layout that I just created. So once you move away from having Google Sites create your navigation for you, you'll always have to come back in here to reorganize it or to add another page as you create it. So let's stop here for a moment and give you a chance to look at that, and then we're going to take a look at the horizontal navigation bar as well. Okay, so for the purpose of this training video, we have both sidebar navigation, and now we're going to add the horizontal navigation. For your own website, you will probably only want to have one or the other or you may want to have different things on each of these navigation bars here. I tend to actually like the horizontal navigation better. It kind of makes a clean look. So again, I'm in the edit website layout, and I put my mouse over the edit horizontal navigation bar to activate it. Click in it. It brings up the same interface as we just saw with the sidebar navigation. So let's try to add a few pages here. Let's say that I want to add the online databases. I can put that there. Let's say that, let me give you a couple of other ones. For example, let's have library news up there. And let's just add one more as well, maybe library documents. And let's go ahead and add library lists as well, just so I can show you a couple of things with that. So um, one of the things that you have a choice here is you can have your horizontal navigation appear as boxes, tabs, or links. I tend to like tabs, but you may like one of the others. And so the interface itself is the same. So let's say that I wanted library lists to, uh, just as an example, I'm going to show you how this appears. Let's say I want documents and lists to be under news. I'm going to select documents, move it to the right, select library lists, move it to the right, so that they will appear under library news, for example. So let's save this and close the editing mode and see what this looks like. Now I see these tabs appearing over the top here. I can see right away that I need to go in and do some editing because I have yellow on white and that doesn't look very good. So just as a reminder to you, you can go under More and Manage Sites and go into Colors and Fonts to fix that. And right here is where you'll fix that. So um, I'm going to just fix that so it's a little bit more visible to you. So I've scrolled down to the horizontal navigation drop-down menu as well as the horizontal navigation. A lot of choices there. I've selected something which will show up a little bit more. Saved it. I'm going to go back to the site now and see how this is played out. So I have here the various pages, and you'll notice that for the library news, I made two um, web pages which lie under that. So that's what a drop-down menu would look like. And that's just another way to do navigation. As I mentioned, you probably would not want to do both of these at once. You may, but for most people, they'll only want one or the other. So at this point, you know how to create new web pages in your Google site, and you also know how to edit your navigation so that the pages are able to be found.